Hi, I'm Asian Spaz. So, I want to start a series on my ideas and suggestions for Starscape. For these videos, I'll probably rate each one of my suggestions on a scale of 1 to 5, depending on how controversial I think the idea will be, either in the name itself or in the thumbnail. Of course, I'd love to see your suggestions and thoughts as well, so leave your comments and criticism on the idea in the comments below. So Keth has already stated that the galactic geography and planets remastered updates are planned and they are on the roadmap, but as far as what's in them and the content is up for debate as of right now. I might as well offer some ideas and share my opinions along with it. So one of my issues with Starscape right now is systems are a bit too small. I don't exactly mean the sheer size of them, but in terms of content, they only, you can mine, do faction-based stuff like missions, anomalies, and PvE, things like drone and pirate hunting, and that's basically it. What I want to see is more life and expansion in general for systems. Right now, what I feel like is it feels like you're going from room to room in a house rather than exploring a whole house, if you know what I mean. An expansion to systems would allow for more gameplay in that system specifically, rather than just jumping from one system to another and doing whatever you do there and then just moving on. What I want to see is just more being done in each system and giving life to them. So the first thing I'd propose to expand systems are in-system missions. I want the system to feel like they're alive, and one way we can fix that is by creating a mission that sort of show that systems are being run and are in active operation. So things like maybe NPC faction needs you to resupply one of the system's spice platform. Or maybe you need to send fuel to keep another station in that system running. You could probably use features like the faction warfare hauling and the mechanics there. Another thing I'd like to see are maybe distress missions. Maybe an NPC is traveling from one part of the system to another and they got disrupted halfway through by NPC pirates. Maybe you have to get there in time before the pirates kill the victim, just like a simple distress rescue mission. Then there could be things like passive missions, things like maybe an NPC contractor gives you a location of a anomaly inside of that system. You wouldn't be able to find these anomalies by normally scanning, so they'd be like private missions. Be just like normal anomalies, things like ANs, ALs, ATs, that kind of stuff. System security based missions could be nice too. Things like in systems further away from core or capital systems, so maybe things like unsecures. There could be a military station there that needs you to pick up a research probe in the form of a crate and drop it off at a certain area of the system to scan in that area. In core or capital systems, maybe there could be missions like transporting classified documents from one station to another. And things like maybe regimes like the Falcons, maybe you gotta suppress a local protest once in a while, so like kill some innocent civilian ships. This one may be a little more controversial, but I would propose to expand systems by maybe 2 to 3 times what they are now. It would go back to the idea that systems should feel larger, instead of just being able to complete the mission in a minute or two just by warping around. Along with expanding the sheer size of a system, we could also make warping a bit more tedious. As of right now, just warping, you can kind of just warp through a planet if you want to get from one area to another. So I'd propose to have 3 warp hubs instead of 1. If you wanted to warp to another planet, but your planet was blocking your line of sight, you'd have to light burn to another warp hub to warp there. If you try to system jump and your planet's in your way, maybe you have to light burn to another warp hub to get a clear line of sight before warping. This would, in terms of piracy, it could potentially help pirates utilize the system's geography to their advantage, as victims would have less options in terms of where they can escape. I'd like to propose planetary mining and how valuable they are. People can argue on me on this, but I think anomalies are way too common. It kind of takes away from the entire idea that they're supposed to be like special and unique. So I'd like to reduce ATs and ALs specifically and their spawn rates to make them more rare. Things like AAs, ANs, and MTs are probably rare enough, but you could probably lower them as well. In return, I want planetary mining to be viable, along with ore spawn rates to be increased to subsidize for lower spawn rates in anomalies. Drone and pirate spawning behaviors could also change as well. Depending on enemy structures that are present, it could also affect where enemies spawn in warp hubs. For example, depots would allow for small drones to specifically be spawned in that planet's warp hub, and only that warp hub. But things like foundries could allow for drones to be spawned in all 3 of those planets' warp hubs. Things like factories and mega complexes could allow for drones to spawn at other warp hubs as well throughout the system, and maybe have higher spawn numbers and bigger ships like destroyers. Finally, I'd like to see some unique systems. Some systems should be completely unique and tailored. Of course, capitals and other core systems like staging grounds should be custom made, but I'd also like to see maybe 2 secure spaces in each of the faction territories be made as well. These could be like smaller cities than just the capitals. Of course, the most obvious system that needs to be custom made as well would be Gattinsur, and making it the battleground we all need, but my ideas for that can be reserved for another day. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to see your suggestions or criticism on my idea.